Hello and welcome, and thank you for joining me. This is episode 4 of Flow series that I started, and in this series we are covering different flow use cases and how to apply different types of flows in different unique situations. So as a part of that, today we're going to focus on case flow, which means how to guide a customer service rep throughout a case creation process. So if you remember from last video, we talked about different requirements and different problems that the business was facing. The IT Pro company sells hardware and software and other office equipments, and they have a case team. They have a hardware team and a software team who works on different types of cases. The software team mostly deals with the software installation piece. The hardware team deals with the shipping and invoicing and such, and so on. So one of the requirements from the service team was that it gets really hard to train the new customer service reps because they are very seasonals, and so it would be really ideal to have a wizard which guides through them, and so they don't really have to think about it and kind of follow the process. So this is a really good use case for a screen flow. Why screen flow is because it will require user interaction. It can guide the users based on different scenarios that the customer service rep will ask the questions, get the answers, input the values, and different things will happen based on what they enter. So it's a really good use case for screen flows. And so the first step for any screen flow is you definitely want to sketch it out. Now, if you don't have Lucidchart, this is a really good tool. It's my favorite to draw these kinds of scenarios, but you can also use a whiteboard if you have. So this requires working with the business and kind of walking through what are you going to even build, right? So first thing is I'm asking, okay, the customer call comes in. So most of the cases are coming in from a phone call, the company email. So the support rep will know to ask the email when the phone call comes in. And when the email is found, we want the contact information to be pulled up so they can verify the contact, get the first name, last name, maybe update phone numbers on the contact and so on. And they also want to make sure like they're giving special treatment to SLA Platinum or less importance to Silver SLA. So basically that will tie into what is the case priority. So if it's a account SLA of Platinum, we want to make sure they get high priority cases. So that's the business requirement here. And after you find the contact, the next step is getting the case screen. And on the case screen, the customer service rep can ask, okay, what is your problem? Why are you calling today? Entering the subject and description and so on. And they also will ask for the initial case number because, so if you remember from last videos, anytime a software case gets created, they have a case number. So we want to ask that case number to the caller to make sure that we tie this case as a child case to the original case that it came from. They're calling more than likely because they have a problem with the software installation. So we want to make sure we track it back to the original case. And that is pretty much it. So that's when the case is created. Now, so this is the work that you have to do with your product owners, figure out the process. Obviously, you'll have more questions as you start building this out. For example, what happens if the email is not found? So then maybe you ask for a phone number. What if the phone number is not found? Then maybe you create a contact. You ask for the company name, get the account name, then create the contact, then create the case. So these are the different questions you have to ask. You also have to ask, what about the data? Is the data accurate to even for this to work, right? So these are the questions you have to ask. So right now you can pause the video and actually give it a try on your own. But if you want to follow along with me, we are going to jump into the flow now. Okay, so for those who are following along, go to new flow, and here we are going to pick screen flow, hit create, and let's start. So the first thing I want to ask for is the email. So I'm just going to type email here, and that brings me input. So this input is really powerful. So like you have a lot of different types of inputs. If you want to see, you have address, name, text, date, different things. And we also have fields beta. We'll look into that in a second. But for just asking for the caller email information, so I'm going to call it caller email. And let's name the screen as verify caller company email, and it has to be a company email so that we can tie to the account. Okay, we're done. So that's our first screen. Now we have to check whether we found the contact or not. So for that, we actually first have to search for the contact, right? So anytime you want to search for something, you will use the get records to find the contact. So get contact from email, and we'll type contact here. So you don't need to actually name it like that. Just say get contact. Just keep it simple. And then we are typing email. So what am I doing here? I'm saying only give me the contact that has email equal to whatever I just entered in that first screen. Okay, and I'm only going to default it to one record. Now this can get somewhat complicated for the later videos, but if you had multiple contacts, you could show all the results and then the call center person could pick one. But in this case, I'm just going to default it to one record. So if there are multiple records, it will randomly pick one contact. Hit done. So now next step is actually checking whether that was found or not. So anytime you have to make some checks based on different requirements, you will use logic, and under logic you'll use decision. Decision is what actually lets you decide on different conditions. So hit decision, and here we're going to say very contacts found or not, or just give it a name that you understand. Contact exists. I'm going to give it that label. And now I'm going to say, I already created this. The moment you create a get record element, you'll automatically have this variable created. So I'm just going to select that, remove that dot, because all I want to check is whether this is null or not. If it is not null, that means it found a contact. So I'm going to say is null is false. Okay, and the default outcome will be contact not found. Hit done. So now we have two things, contact exists and contact not found. I should have named it contact found, but anyway, so we have two decisions, right? If the contact exists, then first we have to verify the contact to make sure we're talking to the right people. To do that, I'm just going to create another screen, and the screen is going to be called verify contact info. Okay, this time let's try to use fields beta. The benefit of using fields beta is you don't have to manually input everything here, and there are some limitations because still in beta it doesn't support all field types. But the way it works is if you want to pull in contact fields here, right, what you want to do is add a record variable of that object type. So let's say if you wanted contact fields, you will pull a contact variable. So since we already created one, and that's exactly what we need, because that will have data, it will like pre-populate it. We'll see that in a second. What are the fields we want to validate? We want to validate full name. Email is already validated, so but we can just pop it there just for information's sake. And then we can have let's validate the phone, and that's actually, let's do the business phone instead. Remove this one. Okay, so that's the contact information. Now I also want to show the account name, but the problem here is this does not support lookup field, so we will use the actual component. Let's go to the component, and another fancy thing you can do here is you can add sections in this screen. So let me add a section and show you what that looks like. Add a section, and let's say include header, and here I'm going to say verify contact information, and I'm just gonna pop everything in there. And one more thing you can do is actually make it columns, so like you can make it really nice looking interface, like that. And next I want to show, like I said, the company name as well. So I'm just gonna call that here company name, and that will be called, so let's call it something like this, because the API name will not be visible. So I'm just gonna say company name, and then I'm gonna insert a resource. Now this is dynamic, right? So since I know the contact, I'm gonna do contact.account.name. Let's make this bold so we see what's going on. Make this bold, and you can increase the font. It's basically a rich text, so you can get pretty crazy here. You can add a picture if you want, and so on. So I've got a company name, full name, email, business phone. So those are things I want to validate. That's pretty much it. And you can also throw in the company tier. So SLA, you can throw in platinum or what have you for the account if needed. All right, so these are all the verification stuff. Next thing also we need is we want to ask for the original case number. So for that, let's add another section. Call it get original case. And that means just add another text just to enter the case number. So that we can bring in that case, query that case. This does not look nice. Okay, let's make it. This is the label. So, all right, hit done. So now we are saying, okay, if the context is found, verify the contact. Then next step is we just have to create the case now. Before we create the case, let's also query the original case, right? So we can assign it to that child parent case. So let's get another get records, get case. Let's name it get parent case so there's less confusion. Naming is so important in flows. Okay, now say case and number equal to whatever we just entered in that screen based on the caller name. And you can make that field required if you want to make sure like this has values all the time. Get only one record because that's only possible, only one record. And that is all here. Now we can create our case. Create records, create case. Okay, so we missed one step here, right? We are going to create case, but we really don't know a lot. We don't know what the subject should be. We don't know what description we should add. So actually, before we go ahead and create case, next step here, it makes sense that it should be give me the case information, right? What do you want to create? Why are you calling? That sort of information, because we did the contact, we didn't do the case yet. So let's get that here. It doesn't matter, you can add it here or here. Just gonna add it here for now. Okay, so next is another screen because you need to get the case information. Let's try to use fields beta again. Now, the difference here is I will actually create a new resource of case type. I'm not gonna use the parent case one because it will try to pre-populate the values. I'm just gonna say var case new. So this is the new variable of case type record. And select case. And that's it. So once you create the variable, you'll see that all the case fields are populated. Now, what are the fields we need? You can default priority based on the SLA, so we don't need to actually show that. We can ask the case reason, why is the customer calling? We can ask for whether or not they want to escalate the case. If the customer is really angry, we can hit that checkbox. We can also add subject and any other fields suits your requirements. These are the things where you go back to your product owner and ask like, what are the fields do we need here? And sometimes you can use your common sense. So definitely make sure all the required fields are accounted for. Otherwise, you may see flow errors if you do not fill any required fields and try to create the case anyway. Okay, so let's say create case. Screen. Okay. So that's the screen for case. Now we can actually create the case because we have all the information we need and we can default some values as well. Create case. One case. And here, how to set the record fields, we can actually use second option and assign the variables and set the record directly. Otherwise, we could have used an assignment element as well. So I'm going to use this so I can do everything in one place. Case and different things I want to set. It's subject. For subject, I will use var case new, because that is what we used in the screen, dot subject. Then I can use priority or escalated field that we chose there. Again, var case new, escalated. Then any of the fields you captured there, you can add it here. I think another one was reason, case reason. Var case new dot reason. And there are some default values that we want to set. Contact ID, for example, because we already know what the contact is, we can add that here. Contact.id. Okay, and let's also add the account. Same thing, so we can get to that account from the contact. And another thing we need to do is set the priority of the case. Now, the case priority is not straightforward, like setting directly based on the SLA. So we can create a formula field for that. Even inside the flow, you can create a formula and then set the values like that, which I will show you once I save this, so we don't lose anything. Let me save this first. Case creation wizard, give it a description, hit save. So what do I mean by formula? So if you go to new resource, you can actually create a resource type called formula. And this is really powerful because it uses the same concept as your field formula. And you can do some logics here to get the data that you need. So I'm going to say I need the var case priority, because this priority is based on SLA field on account. Let's go to text type. We're going to use case statement. So if you know from the formula field, case is used when you want to say if case this field equal to this, set the value to this, basically. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm going to say if the account, so contact from get contact dot account dot SLA equal to platinum, then set the value to high. So this output should be high. The next, if this value, I may be wrong here in the formula syntax. So if the case contact SLA or account SLA is platinum, set the value to high. Then we can say if the value is bronze, then set the value to low, for example. And if there is any mistake here in the formula, the flow will not let you save it. So let's try that. Hit done and save and see if everything was fine. So it looks like it is incorrect. I did miss something. So if I go back to the formula, here usually the case formula always requires 5 inputs. So I'm saying if the account SLA is platinum, set the priority to high. If account SLA is bronze, set it to low. I also need to give something else where it's like medium, for example. If nothing else matches, then set it to medium. Okay, now hit done and save. Okay, so now that let me save it, which means the formula was good. And before we go any further, best practice is to keep testing your flow before you get too deep, because you never know what you missed until you test it out. And it gets really hard if the flow is bigger and bigger. So let's try to test this out with an email. Going to hit run, and let me find an email so I can test this. Let's use this person's email. All right. So imagine you're the customer service rep and case creation wizard. You're saying, all right, this is the email, hit next. So it already brings the values. So email is pre-populated, business is pre-populated. All right. Who am I speaking to? Can you please confirm your first and last name? So they will tell the names and their email, phone number. You can confirm just to make sure the data is up to date. And you can also ask for the original case number. I'm just going to pick some case number. Just pick anything, it doesn't really matter. Let's just pick this one and then add that here. Then hit next, and you can see on the side, right side, right? You're getting the contact. So we are on this step. Hit next. Now what happens? Now we got to the case creation wizard, and looks like it already found me the case. So slowly look at all the debug logs. That helps you understand what's going on. So verify contact info. We went through this step. Then we're getting the parent case. Looks like it successfully found the records. Now let's try subject. Could not install. I want to escalate the case because the customer is really mad. Case reason, installation. And you could add description field, something else as well. Now hit next. And looks like something is missing, or I incorrectly assigned something. So it looks like ID value of incorrect type. So I'm trying to assign account ID to contact ID, which is obviously wrong. So that's why it's so important to test it out. Now let's see what we did here. Create case records. There you go. So contact ID, I have assigned the account ID, which is not correct. So let's fix that. ID. Okay. And then let's also add that other field for priority, that the formula field that we created. So instead of using this pick list value, we're just going to use our formula, which hopefully will give us the right result. Hit done and save. And let's try that again. So I just want to make sure. Okay, let's remove that. All right. Debug it again, and I'm just going to enter a contact email here. Hit next. Everything looks right. Just verify with the customer and then get the original case number. And I already have that here. I'm just going to copy paste this number. Hit next. And now I can ask, why are you calling for? And just give it some reason. Could not install software. Escalated. Case reason is installation. Hit next. All right, so let's see what happened here. We have case priority set as low, and we can check if that's true or not, because as per our formula, the low should be for bronze. So if I go to that account, I need to check what the SLA for the account is, which is bronze, and we map that to low. So it looks like our formula is working correctly. If you change that SLA to platinum, this should become high. And it looks like our case is created with all these different values that we needed. Perfect, that's what we want. All right, that is all for today. Just to recap, we looked at only the happy path where the call center person was able to find a contact using the email. Then we were able to verify the contact info by using a screen element where we pulled in all the contact fields using fields beta. And then we also learned how to use formula inside of Flow by using case statement. So we looked at the account SLA and we mapped them to case priority based on platinum, high, and so on. Then we added a case screen to actually get the case information. We queried the parent case, and then we associated that new case to the parent case. So we did this particular path. Homework for you is to try out how to then create contact and cases inside the Flow. So if the call center was not able to find an existing email or phone, then how do you create a contact? So that will be this other path right here. You can start building out a screen here. So on that screen, you'll ask for the contact information. Since you already asked for the email, you don't have to ask it again, but you can ask all the contact information that you need along with the account name. So you can query the account. Then you can use a create contact just to create the contact first. After you create the contact, you have to get the contact ID. then create a case. You can also change the way case is currently created based on two decisions. So I will let you think about that until next time, and I will come up with a new video. Thank you so much for watching.